Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are going to take a look at the Stamina Sorc PvP build .doc for the Summerset Chapter. This is a Battlegrounds build. It also does work in Cyrodiil, but it's very optimized for Battlegrounds. Now, to show you the proper stats, we are in the non-champion points campaign, which reflect the Battleground stats. Keep that in mind. When we buff up, more or less, with something, you can see our stats pretty neat. We still have a lot of max stam, a lot of max magicka and max health, and our stamina recovery is also really nice. Weapon damage is on a decent level, but doesn't really matter that much because this is a dot based build. Therefore, that's why it's called .doc. You will have two possibilities. You can play dual wield two-hander or dual wield bow, okay? Now, Serpent Mundustone for sustain, you really want to make sure to have that. Tri-step buff food. Potions, you can use a lot of different potions. Essence of speed, you can find those on my website. The ingredients. Restore health, that helps a lot. There is also a new combo possible actually, but with the new ingredients they're very rare, so probably too expensive anyway. So I use those speed buff, they restore health every second for 49 seconds, so it's a really nice heal over time. Then we have immovability. More immovability, just here we get the speed buff, here we get health. And so on, if you need to kill nasty Nightblades or keep cloaking, you have those here. Follow my site. You also have those if you want, for major vitality, but I prefer those because they give speed buff. Race, you want to go for Redguard. It is simply the best race for stem setups. Now, because Adrenaline Rush helps you a lot with sustain, you get 10% max stam, and you also get stamina recovery. Now, Argonian also works, Orc also works, you just might need, as an Orc you might need a little bit more sustain or do more heavy attacks. Argonians, really, they probably have the best, more or less best sustain, but you lose the max stats. You could be a werewolf with this build if you want. Be not a vampire, very important. Gear, so please don't forget to subscribe, more videos in the future, and this is a medium armor build. Now, if you would like, you can also roll heavy armor, just saying. We have a heavy shackle chest, a light shackle belt, and then everything else is medium armor. I try to use as much impen as possible. Now, if you dodge roll a lot, I do recommend 5-4 impen and the rest well fitted. Well fitted, especially in Battlegrounds, is quite nice. It reduces the roll dodge cost by quite a bit. So shackle is nice because we get max magicka and max stamina, and as you can see we have 17k max magicka, and therefore we can use Dark Deal a lot. Why is Dark Deal important? When I get rid of my stamina, we use Dark Deal. You see, we get so much sustain from this. On top, this ability also heals. 10k. That's so much. That's why Shackle is nice for this build. Plus we can both use the magicka and stamina recovery. Next set, Viper Ring. Now Viper is another dot. Like I said, this is a dot build. I will explain towards the end after we went through the skills how many dots we actually have. We have insane, like, you do so much damage with this build in a short time if you know how. People really have troubles to keep up because there's just so many dots. Viper has basically 100% chance to apply a damage or time effect on the enemy. That's why I prefer Viper over other dot sets, because it's a guaranteed chance. And then we have Valkin Scoria. This just hits like a truck even in non-champion points. You get like 3 to 4k hits. And it kills off a lot of targets. Now obviously, if you prefer Troll King for more healing, you can use it. Now in terms of, okay, we talked about this, as much tri-set as possible. Stamina recovery reduce cost. If you're very good at maintaining your resources, you could obviously go for more weapon damage. But I like 2 recovery and a reduced cost. Because I have the tendency to dodge roll a lot and I don't do a lot of heavy attacks, so that's why I need so much recovery. Now, front bar, you want the axe. Why an axe? Where are we here? Twin blade. Each Ox gives your melee attacks an 8% chance to bleed enemies for 7k physical damage over time. Bleeds ignore resistance, so they're very effective. And it's just another dot we can apply on the enemy. Ox of the Viper, very simple to farm in Fungal Grotto, normal mode. Just breeze through it, get to the last boss, kill the last boss. And with a little bit of luck, you can get it. Otherwise, there is also a named drop, Knife of Shadows. I think it's in Fungal Grotto 2 on the second boss. If you don't want to waste time farming the Ox. On the Ox, infused weapon damage. On this one, so you can run Sharpened or Nernhoned with a shock damage enchant. Now, why shock damage enchant? First off, it gives concussion, 8% more damage. And because it's shock damage, it can also proc implosion. The shock disintegrate. So you basically have 2 executes instead of only implosion. Infused is buffing the shock enchant, not in terms of damage, but instead of all, I think 4 seconds, it applies every 2 seconds. Or instead of all 8 seconds, 4 seconds, I don't know. It just, you basically get, look, increases weapon damage enchant effect by 30%. You get that only for the weapon damage enchant on this weapon. And reduces enchantment cooldown by 50%. This works for the weapon damage enchantment here and for the shock enchant. For some reason. For several patches already, I don't know why, it's just how it is. Backbar, Maelstrom Ox, two-hander, Sharpened, Nernhoned, whatever you like. Why an Ox? Same thing. Oxes grant you melee attacks, 16% chance to apply a bleed, dealing 7k physical damage. Two-handed axe, one-handed axe are different Ox bleeds. So it's 2 different dots that you can apply. On top of that, we have damage health poisons on the back bar, which apply on the enemy if you're lucky. That's another 2 dots that we are rolling on. We're going to skills. If you want to see champion points for Cyrodiil, I do have the list on my website, but I don't want to lose time. So make sure to get passives, dark magic, more or less all. You don't need all, but most of them. Two-handed, dual wield. If you want bow. Medium armor passives, heavy armor, juggernaut. It's really nice because you get a little bit more max health. Then if you want to be werewolf passives, fighter skill passives, undaunted, very important, 6% more stats. If you play in Cyrodiil, all the alliance wars, assault and support, racial passives, and medicinal use. This is very important, so we keep our pots up 100%. Now for the dual wield, two-hander setup, deadly cloak. We are in media armor, so we are very squishy. Deadly cloak really helps. First off, it's another dot that applies, like, deals damage. And you get 25% less AoE damage. So Dawnbreakers, Shooting Stars, and Surgulti, stuff like that deals less damage. Block Raise. Very nice damage over time effect. Also gives you a little bit healing. Rapid Strikes. Deals quite a lot of damage and is very annoying to deal with on the enemy. So that's why I like it. Then we have Hurricane. This is basically spammable. Okay, it only lasts 0.6 seconds, so it's very fast. And if we have all dots running and we actually spam this on the enemy, he will be in trouble. Hurricane, basically a signature ability from Stem Zorks at this point. Gives you resistance, so you can see 11k. When you use this, it goes up to 17k. Very, very nice and important one. Also applies another damage over time effect and gives us access to Minor Expedition. Streak. You need this to stun enemies and to just make a little bit air between you and the enemy, so you can maybe Dark Deal back up to get resources and so on. That's why it's nice that we have so much Magicka. Dawnbreaker of Smithing. I mean, AoE stun ability, you kill off so many targets with this. Don't think I have to say anything more. For momentum. Now on a Stem Zork, you can kinda, on a medium armor build, you can easily get away. Like, I usually run Rally on medium armor builds, but here, because we have access to Dark Deal and Crit Surge, I run Rally. It gives us 7 seconds Snare and Root immunity. Or I think just Snare immunity. And you can free yourself if you activate it from Roots. But anyway, it also gives us Major Brutality and just a small heal over time. If you prefer rally, go with rally. Stampede. So whenever we attack enemy, we gap close him. And then he gets snared, so it's very annoying for him to get away. On top of that, like I said, if you have a Maelstrom Battle Axe, critical charge deals an additional 6.3k physical damage, so it's another damage over time effect. So technically, if we crit charge enemy or like stampede enemy, plus those 2 poisons, we already apply 3 different dots. Dark Deal, like I said, you use Magicka to get back stamina and health. Vigor, you need to keep this up all the time. Most people that die don't keep Vigor up. Crit Surge, while active, dealing a critical strike heals you for 3.6k health. Now, our crit rating is not super high, but we have so many dots running, this will basically proc on cooldown. Back bar, now here, you can either use the Suchik ultimate if you want to, or the Storm Atro. The reason why I run the Storm Atro is because, where is it? Increases your health and stamina recovery by 20%. You could run this here or the Werewolf ability, which also increases your stamina recovery by 15%, and you could use Werewolf. Keep that in mind. I don't necessarily use the Atro in combat, because Dawnbreaker is just too good. Some people might be, well, I don't have an Execute now. You could swap it out. For example, if you don't like rapid strikes, you could do it like this. So you have the reverse slice on the back bar, and then you just do more heavy attacks to deal more damage, and so on. But I do like rapid strikes. Quite annoying ability to deal with. And I did not found, like, I didn't find myself having, like, I was like, oh, I don't have reverse slash, otherwise he would be dead. Rapid strikes, Dawnbreaker, and all the dots just kill off most targets. Now, if you want a bow on the back bar, what you can do is run the Master's Bow, but then without poisons, because infused, it gives you weapon damage and increases your damage, weapon damage by 301 against targets affected by your poison. Then you can swap out the ability on the front bar. Okay, there's so much possibilities you have this build. You think like, oh, I don't want the weapon damage on the back bar, you can run dot, poisons, stuff like that. If we don't have this, then you want to run those 2 abilities here. Poison Injection deals a lot of damage, and Draining Shot. So you see, you can kind of knock enemies back and then stun people, and it heals you. It's a very annoying ability to deal with, especially if all the dots are running and then you apply this, it's very annoying. That's the second option you had. I just found myself in Battlegrounds. If I did not have a gap closer, like, it was so hard sometimes to get to enemies. So that's why I actually prefer the two-hander setup over the bow. But in the end, it's up to you. Now about how many dots are running. So like I said, we have the Maelstrom, then those are 2 dots. Viper is 4. Then we have Valkin, it's kind of 5. We have Deadly Cloak, 6. 7 Blood Craze, 8 with Hurricane. Did I miss something? 8. Then Dawnbreaker is number 9 if it actually ticks, and if you spam Rapid Strikes, you kind of have like 10 dots going off at the same time. And it's only small damage ticks, right? But it just adds up at some point, and it screws over most enemies, even when you have shield spammers. If you CC them with Dawnbreaker in the right moment, they are just dead. You just need to get used to reapply Stampede and the poison dots on the back bar. Just keep all the dots rolling. That's the main thing with this. I will upload gameplay footage of this build like always, so you also can check it out. Like I said, the build is on my website. I will put the gameplay video also on the website and YouTube and so on. That's more or less it. If you have any questions, ask me in the comment section below. Please don't forget to subscribe and hit the juicy like button. Thanks for watching and have a nice day. Cheers.